Okay, let's go and jump some ranked games with a random character and see what we're going to get today. So it looks like we're playing the Reaper once again. And we do start off with a storage coffin. Now that's an early hammer. I do like taking an early hammer so we can crack on some piggy banks, getting some extra value super early on. So I'm going to take it, especially since we have topazes to help with our stamina. So I'm going to take the big old banana and I'm going to take the healing herbs also. Now if we don't craft these up, we're going to have a better base stamina regen, which I think I'm going to keep it as it is. And yeah, we're going to move on. This is going to be round 1. We should have pretty decent stamina. Except we are facing a pyromancer who is us, except way more damage with a dagger. And that could potentially win out for opponents. However, we do got the heals and smashing. The actual increased speed on our hammer. Won it first. Which is kind of nice. Now let's take our storage. Let's go and take a whetstone for a little bit more chip damage. I kind of want to roll looking for a piggy bank. I'm also looking at this coal because we can craft with some burning coals to speed up everything. It is too cold though. It is going to give us a bit of a buff, so I will take it. And it literally gave us our piggy bank and a dagger, which we're going to sell our little red ruby to get for now as well. The only problem is we're not making as much use of the storage coffin as I'd like to. But this should be pretty good. We should get our extra bit of damage with our whetstone. I kind of want to reserve this bit of storage. We're going to be cracking open a piggy bank, which we might want to keep for next round, just in case we get piggy pinata. But I'm kind of happy enough getting rid of it right now. Just for an extra bit of money. However, opponent does also have a hammer as well. They're going to be going super fast. But we managed to take them out. Hell yeah. Now, are we going to get piggy pinata? Luckily, we didn't. However, we did get Tornbar, so we can go full on Hammer Dagger action today. We can go full on Hammer Dagger action, take Curse Dagger. However, we also got Smelly Wall. And I think Smelly Wall might actually be a better play. Because Smelly Wall is fantastic. Fantastic on the Reaper. So I'm going to take it. We just need to find our Garlics. We're going to sell you. We're going to take every stone under the sun. We're going to roll. Let's keep going. I really want to grab this undead Amalot, but we need to find ourselves a single Garlic. A single Garlic. We need to find stones. That's a freaking poison dagger. A crazy early poison dagger of all things. Well, it looks like we're going Cursed Dagger today. Cursed Dagger, Poison Dagger. We want to grab you too. And yeah, we're going to be venturing on once again. So, Hammer, Poison Dagger. So it's looking kind of crazy. Our opponent does have stones. With some stones, they're going to get some block, but we're going to get some block with our Garlic as well. And hell yeah, we do end up winning out. Awesome. Now you're a Lil Chestnut. So we can stack up whatever buff you have most of. Vampirism probably will be super ideal. But it will be regen. Now the reason to take this is also gives us trade offers. Since it is on sale, hell yeah, I'm going to be taking it. We also want to grab our stones. We also need to roll. And I really want this storage. And so definitely call me crazy because I'm going to put in our extra dagger with our Lil Chestnut. I want to stack up some buffs. As well as potentially get some trade offers. So I'm going to have to rock on with this. We are going to be a little bit worse on stamina. We are facing a pyromancer with another hammer dagger action. Looking like there's a lot of hammer dagger builds today. But they got their armor. They're going to be resistant to some of our debuffs. We could be in trouble unless we stack up insane amounts of regen with our Lil Chestnut. But it is pretty slow and we do manage to win out. Holy moly, that's kind of nuts. Now let's grab our storage. Because we're going to grab this extra bit of Garlic. Looking at this help up, but I don't think we're going to take it. We're going to roll. And we could trade up a set of healing herbs for an Amulet Life. That is crazy, crazy value. I'm going to have to do it. We get our piggy bank, which we're going to take because we're going to smash open. And we're going to need this extra bit of storage. Now with 2 Garlics in, we should be able to get our block a little bit more, which should be amazing. And yeah, our Lil Chestnut is going to have to give us a random buff and scale that up. Now it's a little bit blind on us, decreasing accuracy. The hammer suffers really bad with accuracy. And holy moly, we're going to win this round no problem because we did manage to get Empower, which is just crazy weapon damage. We rolled literally the best buff we could have got. Which is amazing. We got our coins, which we're going to sell. That is Heroic Pot. That's just Excalibur. We could just pivot completely right now and go for a Smelly Wall Excalibur. I think we're going to take our storage. I'm not even going to take the rock ball, even though it's great with the hammer, because I want to roll looking for a deck of cards. Because we're going to need a Hollow Fire Lizards. So we got to take it. It does give us a Fool card, which is perfect actually, because it's going to be that little bit of power. I'm not going to place it in just yet. I just want to find another dagger potentially, hopefully. We'll see. And we'll take this fanny pack though. We'll take an extra stone because we could end up going for Stone Golem. And we could go for a Vampiric Dagger. Now, the Fool card is amazing. Because we did want to stack up Empower. Which this will give us Empower, and then our Lil Chestnut is going to stack up Empower first. However, if we take the Bloody Amulet, it's going to stack up our Vampirism first, which is also pretty darn smashing. The thing is, we're going to have to wait around to grab it when we want to be rolling looking for daggers right now. But I still think it's going to be worth grabbing. So, let's add in our stones. I'm not even going to add in our lump of coal because I just want to be stacking up our Empower. So our Lil Chestnut should pop off after about 4.5 seconds. Well, 4 seconds. And we actually get some luck. Yeah, I completely forgot about our deck of cards giving us luck. However, it's going to guarantee that we're going to hit with a hammer, so it's not all that bad. Our opponent does have a Spike Shields. It's going to be eating up our damage. It's going to be eating up our stamina. And they got too much buffs. And unfortunately, we are going to end up falling short this time. The Spike Shield is pretty rough for us. Let's take our Bloody Amulet. Let's take a fanny pack, speeding up our Lil Chestnut again. Man, I really thought we were going to get Empower when I forgot that it gives us luck. Which is kind of funny. Now I'm going to roll. We could take an Ice Dragon. Now I'm also looking at this armor, because a Vampiric armor will stack up our poison for us with our Smelly wall. Because one thing we can do is, you're going to scale up our Vampirism over time. But if we craft a Vampiric armor, we get our 2 Vampirism from the rip. So we can get rid of our deck of cards for now. And just scale up our Vampirism for our lifesteal, like crazy. But I think we're going to keep it simple. We're going to craft up a Vampiric Dagger for now, just for lifesteal. We probably need this bit of storage. I'm going to take the Whitey's Blue Dragon as well. That's going to inflict some coals. And we'll see how we get on with this. Now it's going to be 50-50 whether it stacks up our luck or Vampirism. I hope it stacks up our Vampirism. But it could go either way. We got our Vampirism, which is insanely lucky, keeping it super healthy. As we just able to win out. Our opponents will be cleansing some of that poison. They're going to be stacking up spikes. We got some regen. However, with the amount of Vampirism we're going to have, yeah, it shouldn't be any issue. Now, we straight up just could go Nocturnal Locklifter to guarantee that we get insane amounts of lifesteal. But how are we not going to go Poison? How are we not going to go Curse Dagger with a Poison Dagger, of all things? With Smelly Wall too? Hell yeah, I'm going to be taking this. Let's grab our storage. Let's go ahead and grab our armor. We could just straight up go Poison Spear. And at this point, I kind of want to sell our Whetstone. Sell our Whetstone just to keep rolling. That's another Fool card, which I don't really want. I really do not want to trade up our Topaz. I want to keep rolling. And that is a Dragon, which I did want to grab. So I will have to grab you. I do really want to go for Ruby Chunk. Because with our Lil Chestnut, we can stack our heat insanely fast, potentially. But we're going to need a ton of storage as well. Ton of storage. With a Curse Dagger, we should be able to stack up our crits on our hammer. Along with our daggers. Yeah, it should be amazing. With our Smelly Wall, we should be able to start off with a little bit of poison thanks to our armor. It's only up to 3. But it still should be good. We're after dealing half their HP in one hammer stun smash at the beginning. Now they do got some damage reduction. They're going to be scaling up a lot of max life with the Cheese Goobers. They got a lot of Vampirism themselves. And we are stacking up luck this time, which is not as great. But we still managed to get there with 44 poison. Hell yeah. Okay, speaking of nuts. We got a Ruby Chunk anyways. So we are going to be taking our storage. And we either sell our stones. Because we're going to grab this Ruby Egg this round. So we sell our stones or we sell our Whitey's Blue Dragon. I still want to keep our Whitey's Blue Dragon. So unfortunately we're going to sell our stones. So it means no Stone Golem. But we're going to get our Ruby Egg. And I'd love to have it in beside our Lil Chestnut. I mean, we could try something like this. We will not have our banana in, but our Lil Chestnut is going to have the highest value that it could possibly have for us. 67. We should be able to inflict a little bit of cold, take a little bit less effect damage. We should be able to get our poison stacked up a little bit. We really want to grab ourselves a Hollow Fire Lizard, and we're going to be stacking up here right now. Mainly because this is going to give us 4 heats. No more guessing on whether we're stacking up luck or Vampirism. However, yeah, it does take our bloody dagger to skill up our vampirism, which is kind of nice. We're going to be going super fast. The banana will be great here because it would help with our stamina. And yes, not looking too bad, even though our opponent does have that stone armor, but they're crafting up their falcon blade. Now, speaking of crazy, we can trade up our bloody dagger for a stone armor. However, that's way too much stamina used. We can take the heart of the cards, which will give us regen and mana. Now, this is a crazy good skill, but I only seem to get on Hammer Dagger builds, which is kind of funny. Echo Battle Cry, kind of nice. Hardwood will just give us more value on our Garlics, since these are going to be common items. We get a bunch of block for a Smelly wall to trigger, and inflict a bunch of poison off the rip, because each one of these is going to be 20 block. And for every 13 block, we're going to get 1 poison. So each common item that we can use with a Hardwood is potentially going to be 1 to 2 poison. So I think we take this. Or do we bother taking it? Because we can just stack up a bunch of potions as well. I think between the synergy between our Garlics and Smelly Wall, I think we're going to have to take it. We're going to place it up top for now. Let's Poison Dagger for a Crawl. That is tempting. But I don't think it is going to be worth taking right now. We need our storage. I want to sell our stone. I want to sell our common items, but we can't really afford to. Now the Box of Riches will give us some common items, which aren't going to be 1 slot, which is amazing actually. So I'm going to have to sell a coal because we really, really need our storage. Insanely badly. Because at least we're going to get a little bit more block with this. And coal is going to be nice. We can go for an ice armor since we're going to be stacking up heats. Is that what we want? Ice armor instead of vampiric armor. Because with our Lil Chestnut, we're going to get an insane amount of heats. I actually think so. Yeah, let's get going. We're going to be inflicting a lot of coals. Potentially, we should be able to get an insane amount of heats once we craft up a ruby chunk though. Yeah, we're going to need to get some more heat generation from the beginning. So we need to find ourselves another ruby egg. Now we got a decent bit of poison up. With 20, we should have a 34% crit chance. It's not too much. Our opponent is cleansing a bit with their Shelly. We got tons of max life with the snake. And look at it, they don't have the Holy Spirit this round. And they're getting a lot of buffs, but they don't really have too much damage. So we should have the advantage here. With 54 poison, it's looking good for us. And amazing. Although, they dealt quite a bit of damage too. We got the achievement for crafting up an ice armor. So we got a block pot. We got a block pot too. Box of Riches I do want to grab for some common items. However, we gotta take the eye lamp. We gotta take the eye lamp because you are literally going to be heat that we're going to need from the beginning. We need the dagger, which means I'm going to ignore these for now as I roll because we're going to need our storage. Now our dragon does want to sit in this spot, so we get that crits as well. We do want to craft up a ruby chunk, and our hardwood is looking worse and worse, but we do need our storage. And we got to take an extra stone because each of these is going to be another bit of block, which we're going to have to take. And yeah, we're going to move on with this. So at least now that we have our ruby weapon, we should be able to do a little bit more damage for ourselves. Our opponent has a crazy looking setup with some heal reduction. They're going to be stacking up max life. They're going to be cleansing those debuffs. And they have gingerbread cherry to scale up their max life. With Empower, if they do manage to get heat, but luckily enough for us, they don't really get too much heat. But they're managing to get it right now, so we could be in trouble. However, I think we can still win out. Yeah, it shouldn't be close whatsoever. And awesome. Now I'm wondering, should we just take our points run? Because Hammer Daggers tend to fall off towards the end game. Because we only have a 30 DPS. We don't inflict as much debuffs, they did cleanse quite a bit. In terms of heals, we only have 34 healing per second, which is not too crazy. They did have some heal reduction on us. In terms of block, we only have 245 block. But we have 7 rounds to go. Are we going to be able to make this better? Well, we are about to get a ruby chunk. So I'm down for it. Ruby chunk, let's grab our storage. We could take this to reflect some blind back on our opponent, but we're not going to take it. And hell yeah, every bit of bag is going to be amazing. Now the unfortunate thing is, we're going to have to take another eye lamp. We have to take another eye lamp because we're going to need that little bit of an extra heat from the rip. Because 2 heat is not going to be enough with our deck of cards. But at least with our hardwood in the spot, we should be able to get our block stacked up just a little bit more. We're taking our poison off the rip. And again, we got to move on. And I'm not putting in our extra dagger. But it still should be okay. We should be able to get our heats once we get to 12 heats. our Ruby Chunk is going to be additionally having a chance to stun, although our opponent is dealing a lot of damage to us, and it takes us way too long to get our heat stacked up. So we do end up falling short. Let's grab our lump of coal, let's grab our block potion, let's roll. That's a Hollow Fire Lizard, which is exactly what we want. That's Vampirism, which I also want really badly, and I'm still going to roll once, even though this is in our inventory, to grab ourselves another bit of storage. So I'm actually thinking about moving on with this. We did change all this up around, so our Lil Chestnut is the center of our build with 84 heat gained, giving it 80% more activation speed. So we should be able to get our heat a little bit faster. With our 2 eye lamps, we start off with 4 heats. Once we turn you over, we're going to be at 8 heats. We want to prioritize getting as much heat as fast as possible. Once you craft up burning coal, we should be able to get a little bit more heat generation. And with our hardwood, we should be able to get about 6 activations, which is 120 block. Which is almost 10 poison, not quite exactly. With our ice armor, it's going to be nice. Now, the unfortunate thing is, due to the ice armor, we do use up our heats, making it a little bit more difficult for a Ruby Chunk, which might have been a misplay. But to get that initial cold off the rip is going to be kind of nice. Now, at least with our snowball in, it's going to be a little bit harder for our opponent to stack up max life. But you're going to have an insane amount of block. Especially with the Amulets of Steel, they're going to get their power. They don't really have too much scaling block. They do have their turtle, which is going to be really slow with just 20 cold on them. And we should have an insane amount of debuffs right now. Lots of heat, speeding everything up. And hell yeah. Smashing even. I would have loved to grab ourselves a second Ruby Chunk. But let's grab a Bloody Amulet. Let's go grab another Hollow Fire Lizard. We really need another bit of storage. And this Amulet Wilds is very tempting for our Ruby Chunk. Now we do need to sell one of our cards. And I'm thinking about selling the food card. Even though it does reveal our cards faster, it gives us a power which increases our weapon damage. Might be a little bit crazy. I'm going to sell it because I really do want to add in our Bloody Dagger. And I want to slot it up like this. For more Vampirism. But we do need to add in our next Hollow Fire Lizard in it so we can get our heat stacked up even more. Now we can achieve it by having it this way, but we will lose some effectiveness with our Smelly Wall. By having it this way, we get our block from the hardwood. By having it this way, we get a little bit more block on activation with our garlic. But getting that extra 4 heat is going to be super amazing for a Ruby Chunk. So yeah, I'm going to keep it this way. Definitely going to keep it this way. So we start off with 17 poison, 6 colds. We should have 30% crit chance. We're going to be dealing some big damage. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. Hell yeah. Super defensive Hammer and Dagger action with some debuffs. Now that's another block potion, which I'm very tempted to take. The only problem is, I'm not sure if it is worth taking. As bad as that is. Prismatic Orb is nice and all, but let's take our little bit of coal. Let's take our storage. We're going to keep rolling. No common items. I'm going to keep going. Now, this on sell is madness. Amulet Feasting for our garlics could be kind of nice, but overall not great. Now, speaking of amazing, I'm going to have to take this Hollow Fire Lizard. In the next round, don't really want too much more cards because in doing so, it's going to take longer and longer to activate. But I do want to take this stone because this hardwood is going to have a lot more value for us. But it's looking pretty decent. Definitely looking pretty decent. We could grab another Bloody Dagger to get more lifesteal on both our Bloody Daggers, which honestly might have been a play. But we got 16 heat off the rip, meaning that our Ruby Chunk is going to have a good chance to stun. And smashing it. It was looking a bit dicey there for a second, but we did manage to win out. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get our next Ruby Chunk. It's just a little bit too late on that Ruby Egg, but having 2 Ruby Chunks would have been madness here. I will, however, grab another Hollow Fire Lizard. And I'm also just contemplating instead taking this stone, getting that block a little bit. Let's roll. Okay, Demonic Flask could be pretty good. Definitely could be awesome. Alright, I'm going to take a little bit of storage. I'm going to roll again. Don't really want any of these items. Definitely do not want to trade up our deck of cards. We could grab the storage. Now, the reason why I'm going to be grabbing all the storage is we could sell our storage coffin for 10 gold. We could just take this extra bag. The problem is, we can't really fit in all our items. So I'm going to hold on to it for now as I roll. Okay, that's a strong Demonic Flask. So I'm going to sell it. We can take it and craft this up, potentially. We're going to sell it White Ace Blue Dragon. White Ace Blue Dragon, and yeah, we're going to craft this up. Now, it's a little bit worse our positioning by selling our storage coffin, but we got a strong demonic flask in exchange for it, which I think is going to be amazing. Because we can put crits on that instead of one of our daggers. But Lil Chestnut looking a hell of a lot worse activation-wise, and yeah, we're going to move on. And we are facing a null bladed dancing dragon. They're going to have a lot of damage. They're going to be moving our buff. They're going to get crits on the dancing dragon. So we could be in trouble. As long as we keep stunning them, we have a chance to win out. But only if we stun them. And unfortunately, yeah, they just got way too much heat, way too much damage, just removed everything we ever did on. Now, it is another Hollow Fire Lizard. But I think I'm just going to roll. Just going to roll. Let's see what else we can get. Extra stone I'm going to be grabbing. I'm going to keep rolling. And we do get ourselves one final fanny pack. Which what I want to do is speed up and Lil Chestnut as much as possible. Now, an unstable Recombobulator is just going to be free monies. I'm going to take it. Let's take you to Amulet of Steel. Could be amazing. Do we even want the Amulet of Energy? We'll refund some heat, but it's not that great. It's another Demonic Flask, which we could take. Now I'm going to do a little bit of madness. I'm going to use our unstable Recombobulator on our Amulet of Energy for now. I think that's going to have to do. Now, Demonic Flask, I do want to slob into this spot. I would have loved to grab a second Demonic Flask. I'd love more Corrupted Crystals in general. Let's get moving on with this. Now, another Burning Blade Dragons with a Flame. Now, they also got a ton of heal reduction, so we're going to have very, very little healing. But that's why you also have a ton of block that gives us survivability. Because by the time they break through our armor, yeah, we've taken most of their life, and hell yeah. We've only got one more round to go. We're going to get something crazy, hopefully. Vampiric Pot could be kind of nice. We can trade up one of our Hollow Fire Lizards for an Amulet of Wells to activate our Ruby Chunk again. Vampiric Pot's kind of crazy. If it was a strong Vampiric Pot, I'd be a little bit more happy with that. Let's grab our Demonic Flask. Do we want to put crits on our Demonic Flask because it's going to deal some big damage? I don't think we stack up enough debuffs to make proper use of Demonic Flask. We do stack up quite a few, but maybe it's still going to be worth it. If we trade up our Hollow Fire Lizard, we probably need to take another eye lamp. I think I just roll, looking for trades. It really wants to take another Ruby Egg, which would be 4 heat off the rip. I mean, we could take out one of our Hollow Fire Lizards. I'm going to keep going. Darkest Lotus to add in. Just remove our opponent's buffs, could be kind of nice. Giving us mana is not great. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to be looking for a Corrupted Crystal more than anything. I'm going to sell our Vampiric Pot just to grab this, because I'm looking for an Amulet of Steel. Amulet of Alchemy is actually pretty decent, but yeah, we can place it in up top in this spot. So it's kind of awesome. I'm going to keep rolling. That's a Heart Container. Stone Golem would have been amazing right now, because it would give us an extra chance to stun. I'm going to sell you just to keep rolling. And you know what? I'm going to sell another stone to keep rolling. And we can actually grab ourselves a Snow Stick, which is kind of funny. Let's just sell a banana. Let's keep going. Another Hollow Fire Lizard, another Dagger will be amazing. That size is also pretty sweet. Now, if I did want to change our Cursed Dagger around, because we could have a potion situation like this, but imagine if we switched our whole inventory to this side. Because crits on our daggers is not too beneficial, but crits on stacking up debuffs is going to be kind of insane. But our setup is really, really nice the way it is. So we could have changed our whole setup around to be like this. Now our Lil Chestnut is going to be in a hell of a lot of a worse spot. Because it was 84 before, now it's 72. But we're going to get crits on our Strong Demonic Flask, which is going to be really, really nice. We're going to have our Smelly Wall target all our block stacking stuff, being our Hardwood, along with our Garlics, along with our Stone Scoop Pot, which doesn't make sense in this spot because we're going to trigger this at the start of battle. We're not going to be inflicting too much debuffs at the very start of battle, so it'd honestly be better this way. But then we won't get a crits on a Demonic Flask. So, unfortunately, I think I might have to sit like this. Which means we're probably going to have to take out our Amulet of Feasting as well. But it wasn't doing too much for us. We just have 2 Garlics, rocking our Smelly Wall. It does give us a little bit more block, activates our Garlics a little bit faster, but that's about it. Now we're putting crits on a Ruby Chunk along with our Hammer, which I think is going to be a little bit better for us. While we should be able to get our Lifesteal with our Bloody Daggers, inflict our Poison with our Poison Dagger. And yeah, let's sell our Amulet of Feasting just to keep rolling. I'll sell our Shiny Shelter Roll one more time, and we're not going to get some craziness right now. So let's go and see if this is really going to be good enough to win out. Are we going to be able to beat a big potion explosion? They're rocking their Demonic Flasks with Hell Pots. That's a lot of poison on us, and we could be one-shot in this spot. Because Potion Explosion with Demonic Flask is a pretty serious Reaper build. But we're also going to have a lot of debuffs on our opponents, and we're going to have crits as well. So we'll see who's going to win this one, and it's definitely not us. Reaper's big Poison Explosion is definitely going to be way better than Hammer Curse Dagger, especially with Smelly Wall. So this is the direction we could have went, but seeing Lil Chestnut with our Hammer Dagger action, I really did want to try this out. Because we still had an 89 DPS, which is pretty good, but look at our opponent's DPS. Big Potion Explosion definitely is still smashing. And I think a big deciding factor is that Divine Paw actually cleansed some of our debuffs, decreasing our crits, giving our strong Demonic Flask not as much damage as well. While our opponent did stack up an insane amount of debuffs, making these big nukes. Now in terms of heals, we managed to get about 30 healing per second, which is actually not bad. We had a lot of Vampirism, which is amazing. And in terms of block, we managed to get about 361 block. And I'm curious to see how much block our opponent did have. Pretty much the same amount of block. But they also had that Stone Helmet 2 counters as well. But hey, we still ended up with 2 lives left. Let's go and see just how much rank points we managed to get. Plus 11. We're ranking us up to 86. Now I'm going to leave you here for now. I just want to say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, or even consider subscribing. And hope to go for the next one. I'll see you next time. Now we're back in some round 18 fights, and we're going to see can we do justice for our builds. Now we are facing a Aldehyde Flat, Wind Null Blade with trying to remove our buffs. They're going to be trying to lamp like crazy as well. But yeah, this is looking much better for us. Now can we deal with this Ranger build who is going to be doing a lot of damage super fast? Now, looking like they could have went for an practically large Bloodthorn if they did have a single Twine. But we should have no problem. Now some big damage and smashing. And finally, can we take on a heat stacking Pyromancer? They got lots of mana, so they're going to be going for some big mana buff bombs. But as long as we stun them, we can stop them from stacking up their heat. Except they do get a vulnerability, which is problematic. Because they're going to get to their 60 heats, they're going to deal 100 damage to us. They're going to have lots and lots of buffs. However, can we win out? Hell yeah, we can.